How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see here, I've got the 3 gauge cluster out of the 76 Firebird Formula, and it just had 3 warning lights: gas gauge, speedometer, and of course an odometer. And as you can tell, it's a little rough from being actually inside the car, but there's a little bit of water that got in, I would say. So I wanted to actually have an oil pressure gauge, a volt, and a water temperature gauge. So I looked at all my options, and I went with the new vintage USA, the NVU gauges, 3 gauges. So it's got the 3 gauges in each one, tack, fuel, volts. And then this one is the mile an hour, the oil pressure, and water temperature. So as you can see, this one, the volt is not on 0. Don't worry about that. So is the tachometer. I actually just pulled this out of the car. This one is pretty straightforward. It comes with the plate. You have to put all the gauges in. They go in very simple. So I had to do some wiring. But I got the snap adapt. I had to get a few other things that didn't come with the kit. So with the kit, you get these harnesses, and you get these into a pigtail for the lights. There's these spade crimp-on connectors. If you get the speed sensor, and water temperature sensor, I don't have an oil pressure sensor. This is what you get. So this, again, this is 76 Pontiac Firebird Formula 350 Pontiac engine. It's got a turbo 400 transmission in it, found out. So back to the gauges. So as you see, I've got a wire and I've got a connector here. Got these off of Amazon pretty cheap. Other things I got off of Amazon was some connectors. I bought these little clips, these little connectors. It's a 5-pack, 10-pack, 5 of each, but got 5 of those, and then came with 5 of these 3 lead connectors as well. So what I've done here is I know it looks like spaghetti, but trust me, just follow along. So these are your turn indicators. They're built into the gauges as well, but I don't have holes in the dash for these, so I might as well use them. And they're LEDs, they're there. So I'm gonna use them. So I soldered on the small connectors, these small white ones, onto these. All 3 of these. This is your wiper illumination, and so your 2 blinkers, and this is also an illumination for the center gauge that does nothing, but wish it was a clock, but here we are. So wired all those together, and they're all connected. The quick connect works pretty well. You can see it's got 9 and 16, and then 1 through 8 on this side, and it has everything has a wiring diagram, but it's kind of vague. And so I had to go off my old cluster, and of course I took a bunch of notes. I had to follow where all these, these tabs went to and what did what. And I come to find out that the diagram they sent for this snap adapt for my car didn't match up to the old cluster. So I ended up wiring this up to match that cluster for what the wiring diagram for these gauges indicated in their manual. And everything seems to be working. Obviously, I don't have the oil pressure switch in yet. I don't have a water temperature switch in yet, or the transmission went in, but I do have RPM, and I'll get to that in just a moment. So I've had these in. Everything seems to be working except for the illumination. They don't light up, and I think what the problem is that my light switch doesn't give 12 volts. I got to test it and make sure. If it does not have 12 volts, I have to pull power off of the parking lights, so it'll get 12 volts for illumination. Then you can get a LED dimmer switch. So let's pop these in and let's see how things go. Also on the clips, what I didn't know is they came with these program switches, and they're just a momentary switch. Whoops. And you just push in, they click, and this is how you scroll through these menus for these OLED screens. And I didn't want to hardwire these in to the gauges. If I had to take the gauges out, whatever reason, I just wanted to disconnect them, so I soldered in 2 more connections. It's very unclear about whether I need a 1000 ohm resistor or not. I called tech support, and for my application, I don't have to have it. Everything on my car is stock, but I put a 1000 ohm resistor in it just for safety measures, but I called because I wasn't sure. The other thing I had to buy was this adapter, these 2 pieces of tubing, because when I went to put this oil pressure sensor on the housing, it hit the oil filter. Factory equipped distributor. This is a HEI distributor. This should work with the gauges. If you look right here, it says TAC. And if you pull this cover off, the coil's under here, but this negative side of the distributor has this, it's connected. So I got my TAC lead plugged in here. Here we go. Right down there, you can see my oil pressure gauge, oil pressure sending unit. There's oil pressure sending unit. Got a wire that runs down to it. And then over here is the water temperature sensor on the driver's side of the head. I got a wire. I'm gonna redo my wires, but that's what it is right now. So here you see the tachometer is up. That's the last recorded input that the TAC received before it was cut off. The volts, yeah, they're a little high, but that was the last recorded reading. Fuel gauge, same. And then over here, you can see the same thing for the oil pressure, the water temperature, and the mile an hour. Of course, we're sitting still, so it's at 0. All the gauges work. I had an illumination issue, but pull this out, it lights up. And it turned out it's just a rusty fuse terminal, and I'll got a video coming up on that issue. Get that out pretty soon. So this is what your gauges do when you turn them on. They do a sweep. Now you can adjust the setting on your tachometer to be more sensitive, or I think there's a street and a race. We'll go through that. But I've got it set up for the faster one, so it's like a little bit quicker, faster response. But so let's turn it on. This is just ignition on. They do the sweep, and then they go into reading. They'll start reading everything. So again, everything's cold over here, no pressure, no mile an hour. The volts, a little low. The gas is also a little low. I got about 5 gallons in it. Let's, there we go. So, oil pressure came up. Everything looks good. So, everything's working really well. So here, as you can see, you can scroll through using that momentary switch. Got 2 hours runtime on it. And then to set the sweep speed, I think you have to turn it on holding the momentary switch. I'll have to go back over the manual. It's in the manual, but you can adjust that. And on this side, you've got the other. So let me show you why I put the disconnects on the momentary switches. This is the under column cover, and my plan is to drill holes in this somewhere for these switches so I can hard mount them in there. I didn't feel like it'd be a good idea to put holes into this gauge panel. I figure these are readily available somewhat, and so drilling a hole and tighten these down. If I have to remove this panel, I simply unplug those. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you feel so inclined, share it with somebody that may be able to get their gauges installed and help them right along with getting their car back on the road. Have a great day.